What is up, YouTube? This is your host, Victory J, with Big Kahuna Creations, and today we are going to work on a spooky shrunken head. I found this guy online. It's a planter for putting potted plants in, and the sculpt is absolutely amazing. I believe that it's resin. It retails for about $25 online. You can get it through Amazon, and it is just such a solid sculpt. Trying to figure out how I'm going to add some hair and stuff to this, so I just found this little 99-cent coconut top. It's just, you can pick them up at the dollar store, Dollar General. It's just the top that goes on a little coconut cocktail, kind of for kids. Anyway, it seems to be the perfect fit, so I'm going to go on in here with my hot glue gun. And for everybody out there, don't be afraid to use hot glue. I know it's kind of faux pas to use hot glue, or there's some guys that maybe a little bit of craft snobs that are like against hot glue. I love it. I think hot glue is great. It sets fast. It works for exactly what we need it to do. So I'm just going to go and put a thin bead of glue around the half a head here, and I'm just going to wedge this guy right in here to give me a scalp. Now, I'm not too worried about the color showing up here because it's going to be covered up, but that's just going to give me the perfect little scalp top there, so I could go ahead and start working on it. And once this is set, we'll come back in and we'll lay down some paint. Alright, we are back now. The glue is set, and I am going to come in here with some very light acrylic. It's a tan. And what we're going to do is a dry brush technique. And what a dry brush technique is, we're going to load up our brush, and then you're going to kind of let the paint fall off the brush, and then very gently we're going to cover the object, you can see, and just let the top touch the brush and allow for the paint to kind of just cover slightly. It's just a dry brush technique. We're going to leave all the little details of the crevices and everything to show. So you're not interested in filling in those cracks. We're not going to go deep with the paint. We're just going to lightly brush over it, and it really gives a cool effect of either dried mud, or in this case we're going to make it look like it's been decomposing flesh. So it looks pretty bright on the screen right now. It's actually going to be muted when we're done. Paint tends to darken as it dries, and so we're just going to go in here and continually dry brush over the top of this sculpt. We're not going to really worry too much about the back of the head, because that's going to get covered up with the scalp when we go ahead and put on the hair. So doesn't take a lot. You don't have to be a great artist to do this. It's just basically taking your time and just making sure that you brush over the little crevices. Alright, we are back finishing up the crevices here. I'm coming in with a second coat just to kind of bring out the highlights in some of the areas that I missed. And this is one of those techniques that can really make you look like a pro for very little effort. This is such a great technique. Again, one of the things that I like to emphasize when we're doing these projects is that you really want to capture what someone thinks something looks like. It doesn't necessarily have to be photorealistic. It doesn't have to be accurate. You're just going to give the impression of what somebody thinks something would look like. Personally, I've never seen a shrunken head. I've seen some in photos and that sort of thing, and they don't really look that realistic to me, to be honest. The real thing looks fake. Alright, now I've worked on this in the past. I just want to show you, I'm going to come in here and just use the dot technique. I'm just going to dip the back of my brush in the paint and just ever so slightly put a dot. It gives you a perfect circle. And in this case, I'm going to use this to come in and make the appearance of some sort of tribal art. I'm not really specific on what this is going to be, but you can see I went in with the white. I just put some in there. Now I'm going to go back with that same white, and I'm now going to go over the rope that's used to keep the mouth shut. Now this could be black. It looks great as black, but I really want to emphasize the white that's on the forehead and around the eyes, and in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the lips with it as well, and that'll really help that color really come out and pop. So again, we're almost doing a dry brush technique. We're doing very, very light. We're not going in thick. I'm using thin coats and very, very lightly just going over that area and, you know, giving the impression that that rope is black. We don't need to go all the way in and cover the sides and everything. That stroke that's on there will give it a nice pop to it, really help the contrast with that. So we're just going to do a thin line and cover up those ropes and really kind of bring out that white. And if you do mess up, no big deal, it happens all the time. We could go in and just dab it with some black if you happen to go outside the lines a little bit. Yeah, don't fret. You know, we can just always go in and correct it. Again, artists typically tend to be their own worst critics. You know, you're so hard on yourself because it doesn't look perfect. But the thing is that the people who are looking at your artwork, they don't really know, you know, unless you're doing a direct A to B comparison, they don't know what it's supposed to look like. And that really works to your advantage. All right, now we're ready to put in some hair. I just happened to pick up a Halloween pirate wig. I think it was 10 bucks at Walmart. I'm just going to put a couple drops of hot glue in here just along the scalp. And we are literally going to take this wig and we're going to place it over the scalp like we're putting on a wig. It's pretty easy. We'll go ahead and grab it here. Make sure I've got everything lined up. And we're just going to fit it like a wig. Go ahead and press it down there. That gives a really cool effect of having thick, unkept, just kind of crazy hair. And it gives a great effect to this. Immediately turns this sculpt into something else. It's no longer a planter. Now we're looking at a serious piece here. I'm going to flip it over and make sure I get all of the things cinched in there. And that's really it. That's all we have to this sculpt. Simple. Could take a half an hour, maybe even less. And it gives you a really cool show quality piece. I mean, take a look at this. Curio cabinet. I've got it alongside some of my favorite zombie head mugs. Looks very convincing. I mean, this is, you know, for 30 bucks, this thing looks really, really awesome and should be a great addition to your guys' collection. Thank you for joining me. We're going to have some pretty cool stuff coming around the corner here. I've got some requests to do some really innovative things, and you know, anytime we can keep it tiki, it's cool. So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.